Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network hot take. If you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And here to discuss, Adrian Lloyd, a.k.a. Age Night Road, as you may know him by. We're doing things a little bit differently today. Obviously, we're not in the basement. I'm in the basement. Age is not in my basement.
I am not in the basement.
I figured it was like, you know, if I can't get people like locally and like Trio, my normal co-host, to come, he didn't play Final Fantasy VII anyway, so he wouldn't be on it. But I was like, you know what, I might as well just reach out to like some internet pals and do it if I have to do it like this anyway. That was my thinking behind it. I was like, might as well.
Opportunity strikes. There you go.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm excited to actually like talk about this. I haven't like seriously like sat down and like had like a conversation with somebody about it other than just listening to people talk about it.
Okay, yeah, me neither. I had like talks about, you know, certain things, but not like a full discussion. So this will be fun.
So we'll start off with no spoilers, and then at a certain point, it's gonna get crazy. So okay. we'll talk about the game in a broad sense, and I guess if it's going to be hard to dance around spoilers, but I guess if we're going to go into it, we'll give a spoiler warning. But, Age, what did you think of Final Fantasy VII, the remake?
I thought it was a very solid game. I think the only gripes, in terms of new players, I think it told the story very well so far. And
yeah, so far.
For older players, I think the only gripe I think most people have would be the combat system, just because it's very different from what you would have played 25 years ago. I'm trying to remember.
1997. You want to do the
23.
math?
23. But yeah, and there was another thing that people could have a gripe with. I can't remember off the top of my the linearness of the game, just because it's set up in a way that it's like very RPG like in terms of where you need to go.
Right, especially Midgar. In the original, Midgar is just, you know, it's the opening, it's the first 8 hours of the game, and you are on pretty much on rails for that entire portion. There's a little bit you can do, but not too much. And then after Midgar, the game really becomes this huge open world RPG. But pretty much they turned that 8 hours into a 40-hour game and opened it up.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's like small instances where you're going from like different sectors. It's fine. Like there's different areas you can go to, but like generally, like in terms of going on missions and things like that, is very linear. But other than that, I think the game is actually fantastic in terms of the characters, the storytelling, the kind of background stories that people have, and kind of the life lessons that you can learn from the game itself. I think all of those points hit home very well, and I think that they did a really good job in that department. And I think that's what makes Final Fantasy VII like a good game in the first place, and it really like hit the nail on the head for me.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I fucking love this game a lot more than I thought I was going to. I tweeted out something and I just wanted to read it because I thought it was really, really good. Like just this one part, because it's really not a remake. It is and it isn't. It is really like, so it's a reinventing, redefining, and reestablishing of what it means to be Final Fantasy. And I think they tried to do that with 15 in a way, and in my opinion, it failed like 100%. But this is just like, everyone, like you said, was kind of cautious about the combat and cautious about, I would say, the whole thing. You know, Final Fantasy VII is like one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time. It's kind of like, you know, per perfect in a sense where like you wouldn't want it to see it be remade because you don't want to see it botched. That's kind of like I'm not sure if you've ever heard the expression like there's people don't want Wizard of Oz to be remade because it's just like one of those movies that it came out and it was great then, and like if you tried to remake it, it would just be bad. I just feel like that is kind of the same thing here, but that we were wrong. It was so good, like on every level. Like the combat at first, like in the demo, especially, like I didn't understand it. So I was kind of like, it's good, but like we got it. I need more time with it. And once I had more time with it, man, I was fucking about it. Like it still keeps this. It's not the original's combat, but it still keeps this core. Like, okay, like we're paying homage to the original, but also like updating it because I'm as much as I'd like to play a turn-based Final Fantasy game today or a turn-based RPG, it's not for everyone. And that definitely limited some of those original Final Fantasies because they were so niche in terms of like what kind of JRPG they are. And they fleshed out the story. Characters like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, who are pretty much just there and have a few lines in the beginning, are like totally fleshed out. Totally fleshed out. And to the point where like they are main characters. They're not just these side Avalanche characters that are come and go and you never see them again. Yeah, I really think this game is just like really set a new bar for what a remake looks like for any sort of game, but like a bar for what Final Fantasy's forward is going to be. And it's just kind of like your mind kind of goes nuts thinking about it. It's like, what are they going to do with the sequels to this? Or, like, how's that even going to work? Like, it's just like, whoa. It's like we still got maybe like 2-3 more games left because like there's still a lot of Final Fantasy VII we haven't touched. But in a way, we have touched a lot of it because, again, it's not a remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake is very much a retelling of the original, and I think like as you get to towards the end, spoilers, like that gets more apparent that it's just like what is actually going on here. We're not just retelling Final Fantasy VII. Something else is going on here.
Yeah, I just want to hit back on the point where you had with the Avalanche characters like Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse. I think, yeah, I was actually very surprised and kind of happy about how in depth they went with each of them. And I think they'll go in depth with Biggs more later on. But just like even some of the side quests have like, it's not a huge spoiler, but like Biggs was involved in that respect.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I found it very cool that they did that, and I feel even with Wedge, you kind of learn that life lesson. I will talk about it later, I guess. But like, I really like that you can take something from each of those characters. I really do.
Right? Yeah, like. And like maybe you don't realize that at first, and I feel like that's like some stuff like, of course as soon as I finished I was like looking shit up and like seeing what other people were saying, because for the most part I didn't get spoiled at all for the ending. I think there was like a moment or two where I got spoiled, but like nothing like insane that like ruined anything for me. I mean, it is kind of hard to spoil the ending. It needs a lot of explanation. I mean, there you could say like one sentence things that can be like but yeah, like Jesse, like I really like Jesse. I think most people really like Jesse.
I think a lot of it,
and she's just like, but she's like that in the original too, though. That's what's really cool. Like, yeah, did you play the original when it first came out, or no?
Not when it first came out.
Okay.
I've had it. I've had it on PC like twice because like one of the discs like broke. And then I do have it on Steam, and I was gonna replay it before I played this, but I'm like, I didn't have the time.
Yeah, but I thought I didn't have the time, and I guess with the pandemic, I was like, we're gonna do this, and I did, and I was like so happy that I did it. But going back to what I was saying, like Jessie is like a flirt in the original. She flirts with Cloud, like very quickly. Like once she gets she gets saved in the reactor. and they just like bump that up to 100 and they're just like, all right,
Yeah.
we're gonna go full in on it, but like we're also gonna develop her, like, oh, she has a family, and like they live on you know, the plate, and like you find out more about her and her mom and her dad and like who she is and like what her dreams and aspirations are, whereas before she's literally, I flirt with Cloud, I'm part of Avalanche, I plant the bomb, bye. Like that is Jesse in the original. But yeah, I had the chance to literally so I played Final Fantasy VII originally in college, so it was like probably like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, on PC, and I didn't like it. And I'm gonna chalk that up because playing Final Fantasy VII on a keyboard and mouse is not the way you want to play it at all.
Even
in my opinion. What?
Even turn-based, really?
I didn't like the PC port. I don't know what it was, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it on PlayStation 4, where I feel like it's probably gonna play better with a controller. And I totally, before I was like, Final Fantasy VII, it's good, but it's overrated.
Okay.
And then I replayed it, and I was like, I was wrong. I like something like resonated with me more that second playthrough. I don't know why. Maybe because like the remake was coming out, and I don't know, like my, not expectations, but I was looking at it a little differently, whereas before I was just kind of like playing through it for the first time, even though I knew like all the shit about it.
Do you feel like you understood it more?
It could have something to do with it. I would say not 100%, but it definitely has something to do with it, because obviously, like, going in for the first time, it's like, who the fuck is Zack? Like, especially through like most of the game. Like, even like at the end, you still like the themes and what's going on in that game is really hard to explain in just text. Like, some of it doesn't hit you, or it's just like when Cloud has his little headaches and tremors. Who the fuck is talking during those? You know, like, even replaying it, like, I'm like, is that Sephiroth? Is that Zack? Is that himself? Like, it's kind of hard to even, you know, figure out what's going on. But that definitely has something to do with it. Just because I didn't maybe not have understand it fully when I first played through it.
Because I would figure, like, you know, if you played it when you were younger, the kind of whole thing about even the environment, like protecting the planet, being kind of that relation to protecting the environment in our world, it kind of doesn't resonate you when you're younger, especially like when you're like a teenager or something like that, maybe.
And it probably didn't even have a lot of context, maybe within, I mean, it came out, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, if anyone was playing that. Like, I feel like we're much more eco-aware now than we were back then. So, like, that it paints that whole theme in, like, a totally different context.
Yeah. I found it very interesting that you found it not like good but overrated in terms of just this. What do you think you found overrated? Like the story, or
not the story per se, because I guess it's an old game. You have to look at it through a certain lens. You can't like compare it to today's games and be like, it's bad, because that's not fair. I think the gameplay, and one thing I will knock the original for, is the fucking Materia System is not well explained at all in the original. They're just like, here you go. How do I use this? I don't know. They really don't really tell you how to use all this stuff. Whereas in the remake, one of the great things is the Materia System is much better, much more explained, and everything kind of makes sense. They don't really like hold your hand through it like entirely, but they're like, hey, like, this is what this stuff does, and these are the materials you can use it with. Have fun. Like, it definitely tells you how to use it. Whereas in the original, it's just like, what the hell is like death blow, and like these like there are, you know, I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more materia in the next few games, but there are a lot of materias in the original that just like don't really make sense off of like just a glance, and like what the hell is this, like what does this even do? Like elemental, you don't really, elemental, like, it makes sense, but in the original you don't see like fire around somebody's hand, or there's no like visual context for what it's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? You don't really have it. So that's kind of where I think it's overrated and just like, you know, I don't know. The game, I've been hearing about it my entire life. So there's kind of just this like, oh, like Final Fantasy VII is really good. And my first Final Fantasy was 10, so that's kind of my favorite. I feel like most people's first Final Fantasies usually is their favorite. So going in with like that bias, I just don't think it lived up to like that. So maybe that is also something. Whereas, you know, Final Fantasy X, an old game, not perfect, but really good in my opinion. The story, I don't care, like, you know, I don't care about Tidus's laugh. Don't, you know, I literally, like, it bothers me when people make fun of that because it shows its age in a way, but also, like, it just makes sense. Like, that's just the way the scene is. Like, it's supposed to be stupid. People give that scene a lot of flack. But anyway, there's a lot of weird things in Final Fantasy VII, too, which they kept in the original. So I'm glad that they did. Like, Wall Market's whole thing is just like, thank God. Thank God they kept that.
That was a crazy place when I first got there. I was like, wow, this is insane.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, remember how Cloud crossed justice? Yeah, let's turn that up. Like they really went on out with it. And like you gotta appreciate that. Even if, you know, not that I was like super into it before. It's just a funny quirk of the game. And like, you know, I think part of remastering and remaking a game is kind of keeping that core to it. Like you can't just take all away that stuff. That's like an iconic scene, whether you like it or you don't. It's like that Final Fantasy VII, the cross-dressing thing. It's just like, yeah, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it was fine. I think everything that they ported over properly. I think they ported over everything properly, and like what you said with the elemental materia not being visible in the original, now being visible in this game, I feel like they can explore all these options that they wanted to 23 years ago, and then just have everything fleshed out. And I think maybe that's why the game is so good, just because those things that you couldn't really perceive or things that were not that great, they could reevaluate, go through, look over, and improve on. Or if things like the story that they really couldn't flesh out this certain scene, that they could in other ways too, like in terms of like very first bits of the game is like Barrett being very strongly against Shinra.
Yeah.
And you can tell through the voice acting and through the dialogue that he does not like Shinra at all, and he really wants to protect the planet.
Yeah. I feel like he, in a way, in the original, he's sort of like stereotyped in a way. He's very like Mr. T, like 100%. And like in the original, I think they do a good job of expressing the fact that he hates Shinra, because you get that pretty quick. But like it transitions, I think, even more so. Like his hate for Shinra is like almost to the point where he's blind about it, where he's just like in the game, like Barrett will fucking do anything. And like that's where I feel like in this game, more so the original, you're questioning like, is blowing up reactors really the right thing? We just killed a fuckload of people and like displaced like all these people on top of the plate. Like, we are eco-terrorists to the definition. Like we're not just like opposing a company. Like you're killing people and like causing like chaos that I wouldn't say is necessarily okay. But Barrett is very blind to it and very just like, we gotta fucking take down Shinra no matter what the cost. And you know, and he just doesn't see it. And I think Jessie says something about it. Also in the original, she kind of has that bomb shouldn't have done that. Like, why did this happen? But like they take that and knock it up to 100. And Jessie is like, really, like, what happened with this bomb? That should not have happened. Like, all these people died. Like, this isn't okay. And she's dealing with it in her own way. Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about I think it's another aspect of the game that I like. It's just that they knew they knew what they wanted to do back then.
Right.
That they could do now and like fully flesh out. So I'm actually very happy that they did that.
So, I mean, we were talking about Barrett's voice acting. Do you think like all the characters were voiced well because I do. I'm pretty much down with everybody. I don't think there was anyone who was like, yeah, that was weird. No, I was like, yeah, everyone kind of sounds the way I feel like they should. And I, even if I didn't think they should sound like that, I think hearing it enough, and I was like, yeah, it's good. I really enjoy it, and I think everyone kind of hits their mark. What do you think?
So I watch a lot of anime, so like,
True.
uh, uh, usually I'm okay with Japanese voice acting, and when they dub it, I'm little concerned. But
Okay.
but for games, usually it's pretty good. And I think, yeah, they did hit the mark pretty much in terms of Cloud's broodiness, in terms of Aerith's optimism, and I think, yeah, every character was pretty good. Um, Ironically, I think the most interested character I wanted to know about was Rude for some reason. But yeah, I wanted to know how his voice would turn out.
Yeah,
But
because
I actually liked it.
it's funny because the voice acting we have for Final Fantasy characters, not the original, it's Advent Children and Kingdom Hearts and what other games are they in? Like Dissidia, like any Dirge of Cerberus, like that's where like you first time you're hearing like most of these characters be voice acted. So like Sephiroth and Cloud's voices like are iconic. So and I feel like a lot of people like saw like they're redoing the voice cast and everyone was like, what? And I was like, oh no, because like when I hear Vincent Valentine talk, I hear Steve Blum's voice.
Okay,
and when I hear Cloud talk, I heard Steve Burton's voice. That's the name of his voice actor. And Sephiroth, George Newbern. Like you hear those voices, and like they're like synonymous with them. And even like Reno to a degree, he's voiced by Quentin Flynn, who does Axel and Raiden in Metal Gear Solid, and it's just like, yeah, like I heard it and I was like, okay, this is what he sounds like, and I kind of like threw that pre-notion out the window. I was like kind of okay with what they were doing, and like they were different enough, and like Reno is like a little bit different to who he is in the original and in Advent Children. But like, and I was again like, this is a reinterpretation, we're retelling, this isn't that character.
Yeah.
Too. And that's something you have to keep in mind. And I think Cloud was great. And that was, I guess, one character who I was concerned about, because like Cloud is a lot of different things throughout the whole game. He's broody and dark, but like he still like jokes around. Like he's really not what I guess his stereotype is, where Cloud is just like sad and like dark all the time. He's really not like that the whole time. And I'm glad they didn't just like make him dark and brooding. Like he is, like he doesn't give a shit, but like you can kind of tell like points where he does, or like he's breaking through that stereotype.
Yeah. You can see throughout the game his attitude kind of like breaks down into accepting people more, I guess.
Especially Tifa and Barrett. Yeah. Maybe not. You see it at the end towards Jesse, but I feel like that development is really with those two characters. And even with Aerith, who like he doesn't give a shit about at first. And like he's like, yeah, it's I'm gonna guard you. This is my job. And then he even kind of like uses that as an excuse as to why he's doing what he's doing. He's like, I'm your bodyguard, right? It's like, or is it because like there's some like genuine emotion here? Like maybe it's not super deep yet, but like maybe it's because you like somewhat give a shit.
Well, I can't explain it because it's like going to be in kind of in the later stories, I get. Like,
right. I feel like if we're going to talk about later Final Fantasy spoilers, we're going to say it because we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah, but I think even later in the future games for Final Fantasy VII, I think they'll be explained more why Cloud is that way.
Right. Oh yeah. Well,
obviously, but like. I would like to go into it, but I don't. You want
to jump into it? I mean, we've been going for like 20 minutes and we haven't really brushed spoilers. Let's jump into spoilers.
Right.
And then I guess we'll make our way to the end. But spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. If you haven't played that, 23-year-old game by now, you're about to be spoiled.
That's fair. I'll try to keep it just to this remake game, just so that people can enjoy the rest, but. I think the one thing that was very interesting was like the whispers.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh
if,
yeah.
um and the whispers kind of like interprets the will of the planet, right?
I wouldn't say the
Is
will
that
of the
is
planet. I would say let me get some DC level on you because this is how
okay.
I've been lining it up. Multiverse. I feel like the whispers are a representation of like a prime timeline. Like I get not the first timeline, but like what is supposed to happen. And they keep that whatever timeline it is, they keep things on track, which is
Okay.
why spoiler alert at the end when Barrett gets stabbed by Sephiroth, that doesn't happen in the original. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this? You know, like when I saw that, I was like, whoa, what? I was like, this doesn't happen in the original. And then he lives because a whisper either resurrected him or took the blow, as you see it like come out of his body. You don't really know which. I would like to think that it was like in him and took the blow and he just, you know, fell over and got back up.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that doesn't happen in the original. He needs to make it to the end for, I guess, fate to play out. And you see them interfering in all sorts of things. Jessie gets her leg injured so Cloud can go on that mission because he wasn't going to in this timeline. But that's what happens in the original. So imagine like timeline 1, timeline 2 is trying to veer off course and the Whisperers are trying to keep it towards, you know, what it's supposed to be. And I can't wait to replay it. And I know you've already started your hard playthrough. I can't wait to like look at the Whisper's actions through that lens because I didn't know what the fuck they were. I actually never really even thought about it. I kind of thought they were the planet, but I feel like they are something like they're not just the planet. They are like time and space.
Yeah. So for me, I was thinking more of the like kind of the will of the planet, how things are supposed to proceed. So it's kind of like linking into how the multiverse like is supposed to be in that prime timeline
Mm-hmm.
where like they wanted Cloud to go on the mission instead of Jesse. They wanted um Aerith to take the long route to Marlene so that the Turks would pick her up so that you know Cloud Barrett and Cloud Barrett and Tifa
Would go
would
to
go
Shin HQ.
save, yeah,
Yeah.
to go like there was all like those whispers all played out the plan in order to maybe like ideally beat like fight Sephiroth because
That's what they have to do.
like yeah, and Sephiroth is like kind of hard to explain, I guess.
He's
but...
another fucking thing. So here's my theory.
Okay.
I feel like Sephiroth is from the original timeline. I feel like he is somebody who's seen him, you know, he's died. And obviously like Sephiroth is like I don't even know if he's alive in Final Fantasy VII. It's kind of even hard to say. I don't know what the hell Sephiroth is half the time during that game cuz he's dead but he's not, but he isn't. Like it's weird. Another thing I was confused about in the original cuz it's really not him through half the game, but it is. Whatever. Anyway, this Sephiroth is from that original timeline where he loses, and he because he talks to Cloud like he kind of is aware of what's going to happen, and especially at the end. But like you know, at first you kind of feel like he's seeing Sephiroth, which I think he is. I don't think he's actually there to a degree. It's still Cloud seeing him, but he's seeing him differently because this version of Sephiroth has already been through these events, so he's seen this play out. So he knows what's coming. But like maybe Sephiroth can change it.
Yeah.
Like Sephiroth and the Whispers are two different entities trying to get two different things. Like he's not working with them. Like he's trying to go against fate, but so are, you know, Cloud and Aerith and Tifa and Barrett. Like they're trying to change fate too by the looks of it. And by the end as we destroy these giant representations of fate.
So for the Whispers, I think they want to save the planet. Look, I think that's why they directed all the traffic in that way.
Right.
But I think for Sephiroth, he wants to save the planet by remaking the planet. I think that's the main difference. And in terms of Sephiroth's and like as he is as an entity, I think he's part of it's hard to explain, I guess, but it's like he's part of the planet, which would kind of make sense if he could experience different timelines in that respect.
Right. I mean, he is I don't know if he's half Genova, but he's part Genova. So
Yeah.
Genova already kind of. It's hard to even say what Genova is half the time too. Regardless of this game, Genova is this like alien calamity that falls onto Gaia and destroys the Cetrans and like. But what is Genova? It's not really explained. Like she's just this weird like naked woman with an eyeball boob in the original, and like you really don't understand. Like, oh, like is she an alien? Like, is she just look like that? Like, was she moving around at one point? Like, you don't really know. And like obviously we fought Genova in the remake, but like you still don't know anything about her, and that's kind of like that in the original. Like maybe we're gonna learn more about her, and they're gonna be like, okay, like this is who Genova actually is. But, you know, this is a Final Fantasy game. The plot starts very base, and then it evolves into this, like, you're fighting God, you know, at the end. And, like, I just recently realized that every Final Fantasy is like that. You start in the beginning, and the plot is pretty base, you know. A kingdom is getting attacked, and you gotta, you know, repel the invaders or whatever, and it's really base. But then you find out there's, like, there's something else at play, and it is, like, a godly, heavenly, you know, unearthly force, and you're fighting like either hell or God or some form of it at the end. And the original 7 is like that to a degree. Like Sephiroth kind of becomes a god in a way, but now even more so than the original.
Yeah, it's true. Oh man, that ending was crazy. Like just a lot. Just after going through the portal is kind of crazy. But another thing I kind of liked in this game is just the dynamic between Barrett and Marlene.
Why are all the kids in this game so fucking cute?
I know,
like they're like it's weird, but like all the voice actors for the kids are like adorable. Every single one of them. I was like, what is going on? Betty is so cute. Like, and all their little friends. And Marlene, I'm like, Marlene, like. I've never seen kids in a video game acted this well. Like, yeah. I don't know what it is. Like, kids in Skyrim, great example. They're annoying. They're not fun. They're not cute. In this game, I just want to go on a little adventure with them. They're fun. They're like really well done. And it sounds weird, but like it really is like Marlene is played to a fucking T. She's so cute.
I love it, especially the part where. Okay, there are two parts. So one is where Tifa sees Marlene as a spirit, I guess.
Yeah, as a ghost. Yeah.
And then she goes into that cutscene where they're at the Seventh Heaven, and then really, she's like so sad when she remembered that Barrett wasn't home yet and was wondering. It's like, oh my god, it's like I'm so sad for you.
I cried when Aerith goes to Seventh Heaven to rescue her once the Turks and Shinra are trying to like collapse the plate, and like that whole scene, like I just fucking lost it. Like I was so like Marlene, like, and it's funny because like plot point, Aerith and Marlene have some sort of connection, and I think that is implied in the original, but it's not. It is not, nearly as what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you don't realize that because it's not told well at all. But they have some sort of, like, cognition thing. Like, that she knew that she was, like she didn't take all that much convincing. I mean, one, Aerith is, like, a girl, and she's sweet and she's nice. So, like, she obviously has that going for her. But, like, you can tell there's something else going on there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to explain that. Especially,
I think it's just Aerith's ability as a Cetran, like as an ancient. I think she just has this, and like I guess like think of it as like little kids are like innocent and like maybe they have some sort of like
intuition for that, I guess.
Right, like they're not adults, so they're still like young minds, and they're not easily influenced, but like they're I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I get what you're saying. I can see that. That would make sense. It kind of makes sense if you think of having children too.
Right. Yeah. And speaking about having children, have you heard some of the theories about who those three guys are at the end. They're harbingers, right?
Yeah, technically.
What are they actually called? Harbingers?
I forgot
Maybe
exactly.
not. Okay, but not the big dude, the three little guys.
Yeah.
So at first it's like, oh, one has a sword, one has a gun, one has fists. It's Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. Like, to me, that's what I thought. And then somebody was like, no, it's the Advent Children. It's Laz, Kadaj, and Yazoo. I was like, what? And then I'm like, it kind of makes sense, but I don't, like a lot of Advent Children stuff and themes are in here, but I don't know if I I could believe it. Like, it makes sense. Like, they are kind of remnants of Sephiroth, and like they're like, I don't know, beings of the life stream. Like, something's weird is going on with them there too. But like, what does it all mean?
Yeah, Kadaj in particular kind of has that relationship with Sephiroth due to the cells that he absorbed, and then like, oh, we'll behold Sephiroth. But yeah, damn, Marlene was adorable in this game. that's kind of my main point. And just I posted a picture on Twitter where like it was a cutscene. I didn't want to spoil it for anyone because I didn't say where it was from or anything, but it was from chapter 14 where Marlene wakes up in Aerith's house and goes downstairs and sees that Barrett is going to go and help save Aerith.
Yeah.
And there was this whole little dialogue between them, and it's like, I am kind of amazed by Marlene because she knows what her dad does, right? And she has a
I don't know.
No, she has a decent understanding because like in chapter 3, she was watching television where like she saw the reactor blew up, and it's like, he's like, are those people like back in like the planet now and all that stuff, and she's asking all these questions, and like Barrett doesn't exactly shy away from them, but
right.
he wants
I also think she would be hearing what Barrett is saying because he says shit like that. So like she's interpreting it like it's if you curse in front of your kid or you say things, like your kid will probably question like what exactly that means. So I think you're right, but I think that's where that's coming from too. It's like she's hearing Barrett in these meetings with Avalanche members, and like she kind of is like, he's probably saying like in whatever context, oh, like they're returning to the planet. Like he says it a few times, especially like after the plate drops and like they think Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge are dead, and he's like, they were supposed to return, not to return to planet, but return to us. Like he's kind of like, he uses that lingo like very often. So yeah, you're right. It makes sense that she would know it, but like I don't know if she knows about Dyne. Even in the original, I never got the inkling that like that she knew what happened to him.
I think like in terms of like,
because like Barrett exists when he's alive, but maybe we'll see more of that explored in this one with Dyne.
I think like all the kids in this game are super mature because given that they live in the slums and everything, I guess they kind of have to mature faster.
Right.
But in Marlene's case, I think she matures a lot because she kind of has to understand what her father does sometimes. Like he's always away from home, and that like, and she's very sad, but like, and then like that's what breaks my heart there.
Right. Like, it's like she understands, but she doesn't, and then later in life, like maybe when she's older, like she'll like she understood, but like she really didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but. And in this case, she understood that he had to go help Aerith, because like save her and stuff like that, and then Brock got back to the point where she was about to say like, I think Aerith is like
a good person or nice or something like that, or
no, yeah. she felt like she was different.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
She couldn't pin that she was an ancient or something like that.
Right, but she sensed this thing, and I think that's what I was talking about earlier. Like they have this sort of connection because she's an ancient and she's a child.
I wonder if that's why the kids in Sector 5 gravitate towards Earth 2.
I didn't think of it like that. Very good point. Very good
Huh.
point. I didn't look at it like that at all. I just pictured it in the terms of Marlene. Yeah, good fucking point. Holy shit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because and again, in the original, we don't have this information about the ancients and the Cetrans. Like, you aren't really explained about who they are. And even like Neo Midgar, another point that's like one sentence in the original, and we actually see what Neo Midgar is supposed to look like the White City. And it's like, oh, that's what they meant by that. Well, now I have the context, and now I kind of get, like, when President Shinra talks about it in this game, it's like Neo Midgar, and it's like, okay, like, what is Neo Midgar? I get, like, it's like the next evolution of Midgar, but like, what does that mean? And then they show it to you, and it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's like this perfect utopia that they want to strive for.
Right.
Is very interesting. Oh,
we still, you know what's funny? We haven't talked about like Sephiroth like once. Like we brought him up like once.
We could if you want.
No, go ahead. I just think it's funny.
Because there's like so like it's like Sephiroth and Cloud and Tifa. Like you could talk about those people, but like there's like so many other side stuff that just came out, and I just found it very interesting. Like for example, the Turks, for example, like Rude and Reno, they dropped the plate on Sector 7, right?
Right.
And like you saw in if for anyone who watched Advent Children, you saw that they were like still bothered that they were atoning for that along with
yeah.
But in this game here, it's like they do that right off the bat, questioning like after they do it, they're questioning like, was that the right thing to do?
Yeah. And Sung is still pretty cold. Like he's the leader, and he's whatever Shinra wants kind of thing, like the company man. I think we're gonna see more of him flesh out, because even in the original, Reno and Brood are pretty fleshed out, but like Sung is not really. And even Elena gets more screen time than he does.
Yeah. So for Sung, I'm interested in how his mindset will be in a little while, because like right now he seems like super cold and calculated, but
Song you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like I don't know if they'll explore that more.
He does like Gareth. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like kind of like the background for him, I guess, is what I would kind of like to see a bit more. Not maybe not to the point of like Wedge or Jesse or Biggs, but
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Those plot points are there, but like you really want to see it. Like, okay, like what is this really? You just kind of want to see it. Like, is this really how it is, or am I just perceiving it like that?
Yeah, I guess I just want to understand him as a person, like get his mindset, because like right now you see like one side of it just because like he was so decisive and everything, but
that's me for Rufus Shinra.
Oh,
I want to see who Rufus Shinra is. Yeah, because you know what's weird. I was only listening to or watching a stream this morning, and I didn't realize it. Rufus Shinra can see the whispers. Sung cannot, and he's like he gets there, and somebody was like, well, he does parry Cloud like 30 times, like he does touch him. I was like, holy shit. And yeah, because Rufus Shinra is like, what the fuck is going on? Like not even just like, oh, like this ex-soldier dude, and I'm about to like literally like shit on his face with my fighting and my coins.
That fight was insane.
It is nuts. It is like I already really like Rufus Shinra. I like his character, and like I just like his mannerisms, and like I just like who he is. I think he's like just like cool. But like in this, it's just like, oh man, he's even cooler than I thought. Look at all these buckles and belts and shit. He's a Tetsuya Nomura character if I've ever seen it. He's literally like the definition of a Tetsuya Nomura character. Like he's just got way too many belts and way too many buttons, and his like jacket is way too long. There's a lot of bagginess going on there, but I'm about it. Yeah, and he's just like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do?
But like once he sees the whispers, it's kind of like I feel like he's thinking like, what is going on here? And like he's looking at it very surface level when he first gets there, like and fights Cloud. But like once he's out of it and he's like, what is this? Like what is going on? Like I feel like it's like he has a new perspective on the situation. Maybe he doesn't understand it, but he definitely thinks something weird's going on.
I think the only people who can see them are the people who are tied into the like fate of the planet type of deal.
Cloud couldn't see them until Aerith touched him. So Aerith, so that first scene when they first meet, it starts with Aerith. Aerith is the key to everyone seeing the whispers, or the whisperers, the whispers.
Yeah, whispers.
She touches Cloud, and then he sees them. At first, she gets attacked, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And you even have that context again in the stream I was watching this morning. Once they have that fight outside Seventh Heaven, like Tifa gets touched, Barrett gets touched, Jesse gets touched. None of the other people watching that are seeing what they're seeing, and they comment towards it. They were like, "What the hell were they doing? They're just swinging their swords and like shooting, and like nothing's there." Like the people don't see them. So it's not like other people can see this stuff. And I feel like that's like, again, like you got to replay it to like see that. And like even it sounds like you didn't even think about that. I didn't either until I heard somebody talking about it. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't think Sung sees them or Rude or Reno sees them, especially when they're around the entirety of the Shinra building. You think like, you know, we're seeing them, but like not everyone else is.
I never thought of it that way.
It puts it in a really strange context.
I just thought that basically anyone who was tied to like the fate of like the planet would eventually like see them eventually, just because if you have Aerith and then they tie in Aerith and Cloud after their first interaction, it's like the Whispers had plans for Cloud, and so that's why they were able to see. That's why he was able to see them. But, you know, you could be right. It could be designed by touch, too. I would have to play through it and just see.
It's interesting how complex this game is. Yeah. And it's we're not even, like, in the halfway point. And the shit's already getting real. Like, what did you think about the Zack stuff?
I think for a new player, that's really confusing, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like that is a very divisive thing. That ending, I feel like is either going to be like people are about it or they're not. I'm about it. I think it's pretty cool. But it is kind of like it opens up so many fucking questions as to the truth.
Yeah, because I think for a new, like, for people who don't know who Zack is, like, he's just like thrown in there, right?
Right.
But he needed like. I feel like there needed to be like a line or two from Cloud just to kind of like solidify like who Zack is. Yeah, they don't have to go into like absurd details, but just to like explain.
Well, we're a second away from, you know, so the next game I assume is going to start. We're walking to Calm. Red 13 is going to be playable. Don't worry, guys, he's there.
Oh, thank God.
And yeah, or I guess the group is going to split up like they do when they first land outside Midgar, they split up and then they get to Calm, and that's where Cloud recounts Nibelheim. And I feel like that is going to, not a moment where Zack is explained, but like we're going to play Nibelheim in like more than, it's kind of like a Metal Gear Solid 5 moment where you play the first mission and then you play it again at the end, but like you're playing it with a different context. So we're going to play Nibelheim as Cloud recounts it as he's pretending to be Zack, and he thinks he's Zack. So, 2 soldiers, Sephiroth, whatever. And then we're going to play through that whole sequence. Like, that's going to be, like, maybe a chapter or 2. Fucking cannot wait. And, like, even Tifa will, like, even though she was there, she's gonna like not recount things off the bat for whatever reason. I don't really understand why she doesn't either. That doesn't make any sense to me. She just like, oh yeah, you were there, Cloud, right? Like you don't remember the the other guy like that was like not masked half the time. Anyway, and there's a picture taken, like whatever. Always a weird thing I don't really understand. But like we're gonna play through that whole sequence as Cloud recalls it at that point, and then we're gonna play it again, but as Zack at the end. When we actually see what happens, when we realize, oh, Cloud's there, but he's this Shinra grunt, and like Zack is like almost killed, and you're almost killed, and Tifa's almost killed, and you get hauled off by Hojo, and you know, Sephiroth is killed by Cloud there. And like we're gonna see the whole scene where he stabs him with the Buster Sword, and then he gets lifted up by Masamune. It's gonna be fucking great. Can't wait. But like I really think like they're gonna keep that stuff to a T, and the question is like, what are they gonna change? Because I don't think Zack is alive in this timeline. I feel like we are seeing another timeline be created by Zack not dying, and we're just seeing like, you know, a representation of that as they pass him at the end.
Yeah, I think they'll keep it the same. Again, they're just gonna they're gonna flesh out that particular segment.
Right.
Because that's what they've done throughout, and I think they just should keep doing that. It's perfect that way. If there's like one or two things that they add in to clarify things, is it sure, go for it. But
did you play Crisis Core?
I don't remember. So
it was on
not.
PSP.
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah. So like some of those scenes, like when Zack is like all the Shinra people like are just like loading up and ready to fuck him up, that is like straight out of Crisis Core. Like they are really bringing in Advent Children and Crisis Core like into the canon. I cannot wait. Did you play Dirge of Sabers?
Oh, I really wanted to, but I did not.
Dude, I loved it, but like a lot of people don't like it. And Vincent Valentine is another person. I'm like, he is an optional character in the original, but his story is super vital and integral to everything that's going on. He's a fucking like. Not even talking about him being imbued with chaos by Hojo, but like Lucrezia, him knowing all that stuff. Like he knows who Hojo is and that Lucrezia like birthed Sephiroth and he's half of Hojo and Genova. And like he knows all about this shit. And it's just like, he is not an optional character by any means now. Like how can you just like they're not? He's definitely going to be integral, but like I cannot wait to see if they're going to bring in themes from Dirge of Cerberus because they explore a lot of that stuff in that game.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that recently, just because we haven't seen Sid, we haven't seen Vincent, I'm wondering if. How they're going to, because I don't think they're going to make optional characters.
Right, that is totally not going to happen.
I think, because it's interesting, because like you didn't have to play Yuffie or Vincent, I think.
Yeah, they're two optional.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I feel like they're going to utilize every single character to some degree. I'm just wondering how they're going to do it.
I mean, I think Yuffie's seeds are already being sown. They have talked about Wutai so much.
Yeah.
So much. And in the original, there's no reference to, oh, Avalanche is like a Wutai cell or you know, they're like, it sounds like Shinra is like brewing up another war between them and Wutai. And I feel like that is going to like, that is teeing up Yuffie and like how she enters. Cause in the original, it's like you like randomly fight her in the forest and there's like an exchange and like she joins. It's really weird. But that's how she comes along. I was like, it's definitely not going to happen like that. Vincent will probably happen the same way. You'll find him in the coffin in the Shinra Mansion in Nibelheim like a vampire. And that'll be weird, but you know, cool. But like, I feel like Yuffie, like you can redo it however you want, but like she'll enter the story at a scripted point.
But they did establish Wutai though, which is, I think,
huge.
It'll be essential for introducing Yuffie. I think you're right about that. I wonder if Wedge will play a part in that because like he was very familiar with like because when Wutai came in that first time in chapter 4, I think it was.
No, that's not Wutai. That's Avalanche.
Was
That is
Avalanche?
the actual Avalanche.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, yeah. That
So
is like
I'm thinking about something else.
that's also cool context though, because like you always got that vibe that like Barrett's crew was like a like not the they weren't just Avalanche, like they're just like a few people in Avalanche. And like, oh, like now we're actually seeing like Avalanche, like they're organized, they're like definitely more like military than like they're not like just rebels like fighting against Shinra like in the shadows. Like they seem to be a little bit more organized than Barrett's group, which is really cool. But I mean, I feel like maybe Avalanche teams up with Wutai. Maybe they are. I think maybe you are onto something. Maybe that is a plot point that's going to be introduced, because maybe Wutai starts getting attacked and then they realize they think we're us. Why don't we team up? Like maybe they're gonna create this whole new plot thread with that. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I'm definitely, because like again, it comes down to, it's interesting because I think we have like, well, how many extras? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's say they add 4 more for the next episode, like next game.
Okay.
And then they have to, I'm wondering how they're going to expand the equipment now that I think about it.
Right, I have a lot of questions. Is your equipment going to carry over? Is your materia going to carry over? I have like so many questions about how they're going to do this. Because that's what I'm saying. I think before we went live, I was talking about the enemy materia. Are they going to like unlock more abilities like as you go here? Like how's this all going to work?
Yeah.
Like, and level cap is 50. Like, are they just going to like what's it all mean? It's interesting. It's really interesting. Like, this is like, I remember when they first announced this was going to be an episodic game and everyone was like, oh, because we all thought of Telltale. That's the only context of the episodic genre we had. But they're redefining what that means.
Well, I've heard, when I heard episodic, I thought Life is Strange.
Right, yeah.
Type of thing, but...
And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, when I first heard it too. But no, we got a fully fleshed out 40+ hour game, and I was like, no, I'm totally about this now.
Okay. Oh, do you think it was going to be like really short, and then
I thought it was, yeah, in a way. Not, I don't think we had the like, they weren't talking like, oh, like we're gonna it's gonna be like a 40 to 50 hour episode each thing. Like, just the way they announced it was like, that's what I had the context for. What it means to be episodic is Telltale and Life is Strange and like those kind of games. And I was just like, what? How are we gonna do that? This is a pretty big game. Like, how are we gonna split this up like that?
Yeah.
But like, I still don't know how they're gonna do it. It's but like, yeah, there's a lot of questions.
For me, I think they're just gonna increase the level of the weapons. Maybe give like, because I think they're gonna go maybe 3-4 games. So I think
I think that seems right.
I think they'll increase the levels maybe by 25 if anything. But I think the health pools are generally good the way they are now. But you never know.
Yeah, it's hard. No one's ever done anything like this before. I mean, I guess we can put it in the context of an MMO, raising the level cap, but like, is this the same thing?
It'd be like this would be the base game in that case, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to like put in that context because it's not like that. Like, and we're not dealing with other players too. It's just you and the AI.
Because I can see them adding like more weapons with like the same materia slots and just like,
and even expanding upon materia, introducing new materia with each game. But like, you're also carrying over your old materia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything else because there's a lot of skills that you have access to right now. I'm trying to think of all the other ones that we don't. But
or maybe Yuffie steals your materia and you have to start from scratch.
Oh, that would suck.
I mean, she does that in the original a few times, so like you get it back, but like she does steal your stuff. That would actually be really interesting for that whole Wu, because Wu Tai, Yuffie's. I love how like not off track we are, but like how we're just like totally out there. But you know, Yuffie steals your materia. I wonder if they're gonna do Wu Tai's like when we get to that part when we go to Wu Tai. Is she gonna like steal your materia and like you're not gonna have any materia through that whole part? Like it'll be kind of cool, but like we'll have such high level materia at that point too, whenever that happens. And it's definitely like a halfway point in the game. It's not like early.
That would make for an interesting hard mode.
Yeah, it would. It would.
But yeah, I don't know.
One before we kind of wrap up, I want to talk about Sephiroth because we have not talked about Sephiroth.
Okay, we can talk Claude and Sephiroth.
What did you think? I mean, like even like the final few battles, like Genova and I mean, we talked a little bit about Rufus. We don't have to go back to it, but like Genova and Sephiroth, and I guess the Harbinger. Like, what did you think of those boss fights?
Genova, I think was like in terms of story wise or just like the fights in general.
Both.
Okay, so the Genova fight was actually pretty cool. It was easier. It was easy, but like
yeah,
it was like
knowing what's coming ahead, having that insight. Who cares that it was easy? Because the next few boss battles are pretty hard.
It was, and then when you get to the Harbingers, it's like, oh no! And
I didn't really like those fights too.
It was a lot crazier, I guess, because like it feels like you're like thrust into this chaotic realm of where you have to like fight
right
these
when you
things
think the
and
game is gonna end. You got like a little bit more to go, and you're just like, oh
and
no!
you're like, oof.
I just want to finish. Like I'm like, I just want to see what happens. Like what's going on?
Yeah, because I thought it was purely going to be cutscene. I literally thought when they stepped through the portal, that's like where the game was going to
right
like stop there. But like, oh, you're get thrust in this thing, and then you have to fight these 3 Harbingers, and there's like they hit like trucks, and you have to be super careful about it. But like that counter move that Cloud has saved me more times than I care.
I haven't really used it yet. Countermeasure or parry?
What was it called? I think it was called Counter Strike.
Yeah, because there's one parry is like a counter, but that's a materia, and then Cloud's is it Twin Stinger that has it?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That one. So like I picked that up chapter 17 with like while doing Hojo's weird test thing. That is a vital skill to use, especially in hard mode. So I use that a lot to like just counter a lot of the Harbinger damage and even Sephiroth damage. And the Sephiroth fight itself,
what a fight!
It was.
I didn't expect it, and I was like, oh no, like we're fighting Sephiroth now.
Like the 1v1, and I'm like, oh, this is Advent Children flashbacks all over again. So,
right, that's exactly what I thought.
It was really cool, but then I'm like, oh, I almost died like 3 times. Like, oh, I gotta be careful with that. But then we had Aerith and Barrett come in. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh, thank Lord. Oh, so guess what I found out? Affinity affects who comes in first.
Oh, really?
It's not scripted. Yes. So for me, Tifa and then Barrett and then Aerith and Red 13 come in.
Oh, so for me it was Aerith and then Barrett.
Interesting.
I thought it was designed that way.
No, I thought it was too. So like, and I love like sort of off topic. We'll jump back to Sephiroth real quick. The affinity system in this game is really cool. There are a lot of decisions like we didn't talk about like the dress in Wall Market, but that's like a very obvious example of like your choices affecting things down the road and like what you're doing and like how many side quests you're doing and you know that sort of stuff. But like there's a scene where Cloud goes outside of Aerith's house to talk to somebody. It can be Tifa, Aerith, or Barrett. Who did you have that scene with? Like when you get to so Aerith is at Shinra HQ, and this is that night before, and you walk outside and you have a scene with somebody. Mine was with Tifa.
What chapter was this?
14 probably, maybe 15.
Oh, so you're at Shinra HQ?
No, you're at Aerith's house.
Yeah, at Harriet's house.
You just got back there from everything that's happened, and you're kind of gearing up to go save her. I don't think that's the plan yet, but it leads up to that. So Wedge and Marlene are there, and you're just resting for the night before you take off.
Oh, what cutscene do I have?
I feel Tifa like cries in it.
Yeah, I had
and
one
like
with.
he embraces her for like the first time.
Oh yeah. Mine was with Tifa.
Okay, you can have it with Barrett, or you can see a vision of Aerith. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine was with Tifa.
It's very, like, see, this game is so complex.
So how? But you had different. Does that determine who comes in, or
Not that scene, but the affinity system affects who's coming in. I guess decisions you made in the game, whether it's side quests or I guess how you answer certain prompts and stuff. I think that all affects the affinity system and who is coming into the battle at the end.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I get better affinity for Barrett than Tifa?
I don't know. I think you just don't do side quests. I think that's what it is. I think if you do a lot of those side quests with Tifa, it bumps it up. Also, who you go up to after Don Corneo and you fall in, who you go up to that's in the original. That's an affinity choice. But like if you talk to Tifa, like you get like a bunch of points for that.
I talked to Tifa.
Yeah.
That's weird, man. Because like, I kind of want to see those other scenes because I'm thinking about it. I did most of my side, like I did every quest.
Yeah, I did too.
Like Aerith was going to get that dress. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
I literally did all the sub achievements, and I went back just to do all the quests so that she could have that dress again. Like I was
yeah, with hard mode, I'm
that.
like, oh, I can't do quests. I gotta get the different dress.
But yeah, I don't know. That's super weird because for me it was Aerith and Barrett, and then Tifa and Red 13 come in.
Yeah, for me it was Tifa, then Barrett, then Aerith, and Red 13.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is
interesting, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder how that works, but yeah.
I wonder what else we don't know. What do I not know?
That's very interesting.
'Cause I'm blowing your mind over here.
Yeah, because like there's what decision path leads to that? Because
I don't know. I really don't like know it enough, but I just know like doing quests affects it. Obviously like picking what I was talking about when you fall into the sewer with Don Corneo, that has something to do with it. Okay. I know the dress choice is obvious. You know, with Tifa at least, you know, her sporty or her which one did you do? I did the sporty one.
I did exotic first.
Okay. I like that one though, the sporty one the most.
Yeah. I mean, they're all good. I think I went with mature in the end. I think it looked best on her, but
yeah. But anyway, Sephiroth. That whole fight was sick. The One Wing Angel theme, like hearing it. But you know what I actually liked about this, and I didn't think it was like blowing the load too early. We don't fight Sephiroth as a human being in the original. You just don't. You know, you don't fight him like that. Like when you fight him at the end of the game, he's this fucking like, you know, god monster thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
I think I kind of like that fight just because it humanizes him to some extent.
Right.
But it's hard to explain, I guess, but
because he is very how he's described by other people is very human, but he's like, you know, the best of the best. But like as you just go on and you find more stuff about him, like he just starts becoming inhuman. Not that it's a bad thing, but like he definitely becomes like this higher power. Mm-hmm. And like he's not really a human anymore, and like it's probably gonna go that way too, as we get farther. But like, you know, now you're just fighting him as he normally is, and like there's no weird gimmicks. Like it's not like he like even in that fight, it's not like he like just starts morphing into some like monster. You fight him just as is.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's one thing I like about Genova too. Like, I mean, like they kind of fuse together, but like Genova is a monster, and like you never fight her as a human, but like she's never really described as like just a regular person anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that Genova theme, dude, so good, so good. When that came on in that third phase, I was like, oh fuck, like I was like playing as Tifa a lot during that fight, and I was just making like elongating that fight just so I could listen to the music. It was so good. One thing we haven't talked about, the music in this game. Holy shit. There are like 7 versions of the battle theme. Like there are probably more. I don't know. But like all the music is just so good.
Yeah.
Every track.
I looked for the soundtrack and it's coming out this month later.
On Spotify?
Too,
I hope?
Well, the one I found was like a 7-disc set.
Oh my god. Yeah, they have to be releasing it digitally. Because like every Final Fantasy is on Spotify, and that's like recently. And I was like, yes. And
someone released it on YouTube too, so it's like
right, like you can listen to it on YouTube, but like you don't know like every track, you know. Because like what are the names of all the 7 variations of the battle?
They actually did.
Really? You might link it to me.
It was like I had disc 4 because it had the gym theme in there. I love that one. Yeah,
when you're actually like working out or they're doing the mini game. Yeah,
it's so good. But yeah, so that's
fantastic, dude.
But yeah, it's I really want the soundtrack for sure. I don't care if I don't get the collector's edition as long as I get it.
Did you get the collector's edition of the game?
I got the deluxe version.
Okay, so I got the one from Square that was like $330 where you got Cloud on the Hardy Daytona.
I was debating it, but
well worth it. Well worth it. Once I got it, I was like, oh, so worth it. Plus, what made it even better was like Cyberpunk was coming out around now originally, and that would have been like back to back like collector's editions of like a lot of money, but now it's not, so like I don't feel as bad.
I tried so hard to get that Cyberpunk one, but anyway.
Yeah, I got them both.
Oh, lucky you, man. I really want the statue of the one. Anyway, but yeah, Sephiroth, one bad dude, but I feel like he's an entity that's just cannot be explained. I kind of like that.
Right. He's so out there, that like we've seen a lot of him, which wasn't in the original. Like he's kind of appeared a lot and he hasn't said a lot. He likes to smile, but you still don't really know what the fuck is going on with him. And then back to that earlier point, like, is he from the future? Does he know what's going on? Especially at that point where when you're at like the origin of time or whatever, and they recreate the final fight between Sephiroth and when you actually verse him as a person between Sephiroth and Cloud. So happy he didn't use Omni Slash. I'm like, he doesn't know how to use it. Don't use it. Don't use it. Like, he's not that good yet. And I'm like, yes, they didn't use it. He definitely was like Advent Childrening all over the place with his fucking zipping around. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy we didn't see Omni Slash. I was like, we're going to do this at the end of the game again, and we're going to do the same fucking thing, and Cloud's going to use Omni Slash.
Yeah, like, I kind of have to.
Yeah.
I was glad too they didn't put Omni Slash.
But yeah, the way he like comes down and like, you know, he like opens his eyes and like, yeah, and they land and then they do the camera shots and it's like doom doom doom. Like, oh, so cool. But yeah, like Sephiroth is like 7 seconds and he's like 7 seconds to what?
Ah, man.
Apparently in the chapter description, it says 7 seconds until meteor hits, apparently. I learned that today too. I learned a lot of things today that I'm glad I learned about, like watching a stream this morning. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I can't confirm that, but somebody said that like in the last chapter description, so I'll have to go look at it. It says like 7 seconds until meteor hits or something like that. And I was like, okay. I was like, you know, 7, Final Fantasy 7, like, you know, whatever. I didn't think of anything of it, but I kind of figured that like Cloud or Sephiroth was talking to, acting, like as he had been here before at the end of the game, where like that would have been the case, but
So
it's
that
not.
what makes you believe he's led these past lives, or okay?
Yeah. I mean, like, what else could that mean, too? Like, it's got to be some like prophetic thing that he's already seen or been through. Like, why would he just say that to him? It doesn't really make any sense in the context of not knowing that, meteor is crashing into the planet and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Game is a real chin scratcher.
Yeah,
it really is. It's so good.
There's there's a lot more layers to it than I thought.
Well, I mean, we've been talking a bunch of story stuff, but like this game is truly fucking incredible. And like again, we've been like most of this review has been just us talking about the story because it is that good and like it raises so many questions and it's so complex and cool and it's just like, fuck, man, I didn't expect any of this to go this way. I don't think anyone could have. We thought we were really gonna get like just a remake of Final Fantasy VII. We're not. We're getting something different.
Yeah, I fully expected to like this game. I didn't expect it to like love it as much as I did. Like I played, like I literally, the first time I played, it was like at like midnight because I wanted to play with like everyone else because like I didn't want. I avoided spoilers. Like I didn't even play the demo. I got my
copy a day early. You know what? Real quick, to interrupt. Shout out to Square because they fucking went above and beyond to get people their copies.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, we're shipping it early. If you get it, just fucking don't be an asshole. Like, but go for it. I was just like, wow. They really just like nutted up and we're just like, we got to send this shit out because we know people want to play this game. And like, I got my copy a day early and apparently you did too. So that's good.
Especially with pandemic. Like I was super excited. I was totally expecting to get it next week, if anything.
Yeah, I was scared. I was like, oh, I got Resident Evil from Amazon on time. Like day of, not early, but like I was just like, fuck, Final Fantasy's like, don't. I was like, please don't come late. And I was just like, and I saw they were like tweeting about like, okay, like we're gonna take precautions to make sure people get their copies. And I was like, wow. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I was.
Sorry.
I was. No, I think. What was my point?
You got it a day early and you wanted to play with everyone at midnight.
Oh yeah. So I played for like 3 hours.
Okay.
And then I went to bed after wiping the tears from my eyes, and then like I spent my Saturday and Sunday playing like the entire game and just.
You beat it that weekend, right? I remember you tweeted about it. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I beat it like Monday morning at like. No, Monday night. I spent like 21 hours from Sunday to Monday.
Oh my God!
Like Saturday, I think was like. Saturday was like 16 hours, I think, or something like that, and then the rest was like I'm just gonna sit here and play this game.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, hey, I like just like Animal Crossing. I think this was a game that could not have come out at a better time. With pandemic and everything. I feel like a lot of people probably gave this game a try when originally they weren't, especially in a time period that was like Doom, Animal Crossing, fucking Resident Evil 3, Cyberpunk, like Avengers, like everything was coming out at this time. And this Q2 was packed, like utterly and insanely, like holy shit, this is insane. And then everything either got delayed or pandemic delayed it. And Final Fantasy VII, like as of recording this of May 3rd, is like the last big game to come out. I mean, and the next one is going to be Last of Us, but for a time it was like Last of Us was delayed and we didn't know what was going on. So Final Fantasy VII, as weird as it is to say, was like the last big title to probably come out for a while, but that's not the case anymore. Like how weird is that to even think about? Like, whew. And like Final Fantasy VII, like a game that like really requires time came out at a point where like everyone has time.
It's true.
It definitely broke records for Square. This has definitely been the most successful game they put out. I know Kingdom Hearts did well, but I don't think it did this well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually have two questions for you.
Yeah.
So my first question is
I think I know where it's going.
well, my first question is what was the point in when you were playing the game where he was like, this is the game. This is the Final Fantasy VII like that I wanted out of this.
You really want that answer?
I do want the answer.
The opening.
The opening?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think even though I played it in the demo and I saw it, like every time I watched that opening, like something fucking happens inside me where I'm just like,
that's true. Damn it. Okay, outside of the opening, like past it.
Outside of the opening,
like I feel like that's a cop out answer.
It is a cop out answer. That's why I didn't want to say it. I was just like, oh, it's so easy. I'll
tell you mine while you think about it.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm trying to think. Go ahead.
So for me, it was when Cloud was like escaping to go to the train to meet up with Avalanche.
Okay.
And he was getting surrounded. And then you hear Let the Battles Begin. And then you're just fighting everyone. And then you're fighting like that Hound dude. And I'm like...
Yeah, the Hound Master, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like... Yo, this is the game that I wanted to play for a while. I love this game.
I really don't because I think it hit me in the beginning and I didn't think about it after that. I'm trying to think like what was the moment that hit me. I'm trying to fucking think.
If you don't have one, it's fine. But
I feel like there is one and I just can't think of it. I want to say maybe when you get to Seventh Heaven. And you meet up with Tifa, and then you start, like, the game kind of opens up for the first time.
Okay.
And I think, like getting more character interaction with Tifa, and, like, they're seeing each other for the first time in, like, 5 years. I think at that point, like, something hit me, and I was like, this is a different game. Because that's the first point where the game really deviates from the original.
Okay. That's an interesting one. All right, my second question is, do you believe this is Game of the Year?
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought you were going to be like, do you like this better than Kingdom Hearts 3? And I would have to say, yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
For a lot of different reasons. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is a great game. And clearly Tetsuya Nomura is doing some crazy shit with this game, just like he did with Kingdom Hearts 3. But I think this is like, even though we're not done it yet, this is just much more put together than Kingdom Hearts 3. And it's not a bad thing. I really just think Kingdom Hearts 3 it was too much. Maybe that's not the one I want to say. It's too Tetsuya Nomura. Like where 7 is just enough where it's not going off the deep end. It sure as hell looks like it's going to go that way. But Kingdom Hearts 3 like immediately like requires a lot of knowledge to like really understand. And like 7 can kind of be that way, but it's not there fully. But it's cool and craziness is easier to grasp than I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is, if that makes any sense.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of hard. This game, like Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts 3, is such a different beast than this, in a way.
Yeah. I
it's hard to compare.
So for me, for me it was like Game of the Year for me. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, this is Game of the Year for me right now, 100%, 110%.
Yeah, because I still have to play Cyberpunk. Because I thought that was going to be... Because I love that genre.
And who knows what's going to happen this fall, man? Who fucking knows what's still coming out? It's really hard to even say.
And, like, I'm avoiding Last of Us 2 spoilers. like the
I
plague
haven't
right
seen
now.
anything, which is good.
So I don't know if that'll also be like, I just assume that'll be really good too.
Last
But
of Us 2 is going to be good, but I don't like, for me, Final Fantasy 7 is not going to get beat out by
I think so. Yeah, me too.
it.
Yeah. I did not expect to love it that much. And I'm
Right.
like,
I really don't think anyone else was either. Because we were
Yeah.
all skeptical, and no matter to what degree, I really think everyone was skeptical about this game. And everyone, no matter what you think about the ending, everyone came out on the other side being like, this was a really good game.
yeah, I agree.
And, case closed. Whatever, the ending is very divisive, and I think a lot of people are split on it. But I feel like as the game as a whole, people are like, yeah, it was good. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
I haven't heard one person say, yeah, I didn't like it.
Donkey.
Oh, fuck Donkey. I watched that video. I was like, this video is fucking trash. I was like, this is a hot take and a half. Like, this is, but like a not good hot take at all. Like, I watched that video and I was just like, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
I didn't watch it, but I'm like, he's entitled to his own opinion. It's
Yeah,
fine.
sure he is. It was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, you can disagree with Kingdom Hearts 3 all you want, and I'll kind of be like, all right. I like it for very biased reasons, but like I get why other people may not like it. But like that video, that was the first time I heard somebody like trash talk it. I totally forgot about it. Probably because like I watched it and I was just like, later.
That's fair. But yeah, I think most people will have enjoyed the game. I'm very interested in people who like turn-based combat. I wonder if they like the game or would have preferred turn-based combat more.
That's hard to say. I like turn-based combat, and I'm perfectly fine with the way this game is.
Yeah, I've seen some tweets about people saying they would have preferred turn-based combat.
Really?
But yeah. And the one thing that I've seen is that people would one person wanted a more explorable map in terms of like not pathways but more like
I get it.
Take sector 5 and those like the corners you can get into like the trash mountains, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like remove that gate in terms of like the linearness of it, like you can actually move and stuff.
I think every game being an open world is not a good thing. I like the linearity of this game. I actually probably prefer it over open world. But guess what? The game is gonna open up.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like the weird. I guess having played the original, like I know that. So maybe I'm judging it differently.
I like the linear. I like the way they made it. It's not entirely linear, but it's pathways that show you where you need to go, and it's not the worst thing in the world for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
One thing I didn't like about this game.
Okay.
The camera sucks.
Oh my god, dude!
The camera's like unbelievably bad.
I had
sometimes.
to mess with the settings so much in order to get the camera to I can accept it.
It's pretty shitty. And that's something I would have pointed out with any game, and I don't think it's a nitpick by any means, but the camera is not good. It doesn't help you sometimes when you're like, oh shit, here we go, Barrett's in my fucking face and I can't see shit.
I think that is one thing that they need to improve on is the camera.
Yeah, and other than that, I don't have any negatives.
Yeah, no, like
a lot of people thought some of those side quests were fillers, but I like when quests are like that sometimes, especially at the beginning of a game when they're very like simple and sometimes they're goofy. But then like as the game progresses, you get more serious side quests and things are a little bit more serious, I guess. It's not like, oh, go find my cats, I'm Betty. Like that's a goofy side quest, and like I could understand somebody seeing that shit as filler, but like I didn't see it as filler.
But like doing those side quests, like for example, doing all the side quests in Chapter 3 allows you to have that scene with Tifa.
Right, and they flesh things out a little bit more about the people of Sector 5 or Sector 7 and like who and Wall Market and stuff like that. Like they're there. I wouldn't say it's filler at all. They're very much just opening what was already really surface level in the original.
Yeah, it's side story if you want to explore it. That's pretty much it.
Right. And if you don't, you miss out on some stuff like the dress or, what have you. Certain weapons, rewards. And that's any game. So, it's there if you want it, but you don't have to do it.
I agree.
So, on as we're ending, I said it I think 30 minutes ago. But I think if you've never played Final Fantasy VII, the original, and you've beaten this game, and you definitely have some sort of interest in it, you should go play the original. Even though it's kind of going to spoil things, I think having the context is going to make you appreciate things on another level. I'm very much kind of a proponent of that. I like people having not the appreciation I do, in a way, that's what I'm saying, but just kind of making your experience better,
I guess so. I don't know. If a person like a 14-year-old's playing this game and has no idea what the story is about, I don't know if I would say go play the old one, because I feel like knowing what you know now.
I think I get what you're saying, and a 14-year-old, maybe you're right. But as somebody our age in their 20s, where maybe they do have an appreciation for older games, I would.
Yeah.
So, good point.
I mean, even if you have an appreciation for old games, I feel like if you have no idea of the Final Fantasy VII story, about where it goes, about the major things that happen, I would say if you can still avoid those, I guess.
I was going to say, I'm surprised if you don't know, spoiler alert, Aerith fucking dies, which surprisingly we didn't bring up once.
Yeah.
We barely even talked about Aerith, which is funny. But, yeah, the Zack spoiler, I'd be surprised if most people don't know, but Aerith dying is one of the biggest video game deaths ever. I'd be surprised if most, if you don't know that, you're insane. I don't know how the hell you got through this.
That's our generation type of
right,
deal.
that's something people just fucking say, Aerith killed Sephiroth, and everyone's like, yeah. That's what is some stereotypical, Darth Vader's
Luke's
father. That's a spoiler everyone knows. That's a spoiler, but everyone knows it. It's not really a spoiler. And I feel like Sephiroth killing Aerith is that in the video games.
I guess so, yeah.
Everyone knows it.
I mean, if you don't know that, that's impressive.
Right.
First off. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's you go from the new game to the old game, or because if you can't wait to find out the story, then yeah, play the old game.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's a lot of questions, and if you want answers, you can go get them in a way.
That's true.
And then you have this new appreciation for things, and you're looking at it differently. It could just enhance the experience, which was the point of what I was saying.
Yeah, I'm
all about enhancing experiences.
I'm probably gonna go back and play Final Fantasy VII. Since we have maybe 2 years with the next one.
Yeah, that's that too. We do have a while. It's not like this game is coming out in a month or so. We could be very far off or not too far off, but not close enough that you can't fit that replay in or that first time playing through it. And it's on PC, it's on Xbox, it's on PS4, it's available, which is awesome. It's cool that Square hasn't ported all of the Final Fantasies to current gen, but most of the big ones are. Like 8 just got a remaster. I think the issue where you run into, especially with me, because I want to replay not only the Final Fantasies I haven't played, but some of the older ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are not on most current gen. 6 is on PC, but 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are only mobile and DS. I was just port them, please.
I've played 1 and 2. Both are really good.
Yeah, I actually played them on mobile for the first time, like years ago. But like when they first came out on iOS, that's where I played them.
I've never played 6 though, and I should.
And like the Switch, it's a perfect fucking place for those games. Perfect.
It's
Perfect. You can play Final Fantasy 7 on there too. Like, you know, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. What was it? I want Tactics back, man.
Port it. Just fucking port it. That's all you gotta do. I don't need a remake. I want to play some of those games I've never played. Like, I've never played 5, 6, 8, and 9. All the others I played. Besides some spin-offs. Like, 4 has, like, 3 spin-offs. 4 has, like, the After Years and something else. I've never played 8 or 9, and I've never played 6 and 5. And 6, I feel like 6, 8, and 9 are, like, Final Fantasies where people are like, yo, dude, play those games.
Which one was 9 again?
It was Zidane and, Steimer? Yeah. Yeah, Steimer, the knight. The kid with the tail. And Garnet, she has like an orange jumper. As soon as you'll see it, you'll be like, oh. That was the last one on the PlayStation 1. And then 10 was on PS2.
I have not played that one.
Yeah. See? Well, yeah, that's like I didn't have a PS1 as a kid, so. And 8 just got a nice little remaster. So you know, it doesn't look like shit. Apparently, the PC port for that is really bad.
Oh, feels bad. Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, the not the old port of the original, not the new remastered one. Like before, it was just like they took the game and they just took the game and they shoved it in there. Okay. Right, like they did with Final Fantasy, but it ported a little better. But now they actually remastered it. The textures are all updated and stuff, which is cool because I'm like, yeah, I love new ways to play older games. So it's just like, you know. Some games don't age well. Some do.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an old game that aged well.
Fallout 3, in my opinion, has not aged well.
I've not played a single Fallout game. And I have like the first 3.
See, and I wouldn't just say go play Fallout 3. I wouldn't do that. I maybe New Vegas. Yes, but I would not tell you to go play Fallout 3. The combat is like Oblivion combat.
Okay.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a meme like Oblivion is, but it has not aged well. I tried like modding it and playing it on PC, and I was just like, yeah, it doesn't make the combat any better. And that really just took me out of it. Okay. But anyway. I think that. Do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off here? There's a lot we didn't talk about in a way. Yeah. Like we didn't talk about Aerith a lot, but like we could be here.
Aerith was just like a treasure, essentially.
Yeah. And she knows shit too. Yeah. She knows shit too.
But I would just say, if you haven't played this game but you like storytelling, I would say pick up this game. Yeah. It is very good in terms of not only the story that it tells, but about the morals of human nature and the planet and like protecting the environment and things like that and everything in between. And it's just a solid game in my opinion. And a lot of people probably share that opinion, so definitely give it a shot, I would say, if you enjoy story.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said earlier, I think the original's worth your time too, if you're really invested in this game, which I feel like you will be by the time you finish it. If if you're still playing it or, haven't played it or whatever, I don't know why you'd be this far into this. You haven't played it. But God bless. You just got a lot of shit.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Anyway, that does it for us here today. Thank you for watching Delco Nerd Network live on twitch.tv if you did watch it live. If not, you can find it on youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network or look us up on your favorite podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, whatever. Just look us up, Delco Nerd Network. You should find us on most of them. You can find us on Twitter at Delco Nerds, as well as Instagram, and we have a Facebook as well. All that info can be found at www.delconernetwork.com. Age, where can people find you? Even though it's on screen if you're watching the video.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Age Night Road. It's all the same. I kind of want to do like a Guild Wars 1 playthrough again.
Oh.
Since it's Guild Wars 1 anniversary.
Yeah, and they did a patch for it.
Yeah, there's
which is
a
weird.
whole bunch of stuff. So,
yeah, I heard there was drama with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could just tell by the look on your face. You're just like, I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah, there's elite skills. There's new weapons. I want them, so I'm just gonna go get them. So yeah, should be fun.
Cool.
I don't know. I'll do that, but yeah, just follow me and you'll find out.
Cool. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. This has been Gooch. Stay nerdy. We'll see you next time.